Hey, what's up, everybody? Bdf 44 coming into another video. All right, so it's a nice day out here, man. Beautiful weather. I got exactly 56 minutes to talk, so I better be quick with it. Of course, I can always pick up the other phone and have a little more time, but we'll see. That should be enough time to get back to the hotel. But yeah, man, the weather is good enough. I think, when you consider it's a little windy out here, but it's not cold at all. It's just been a lot of bipolar weather over the last 4 days. I mean, just 4 days ago, it was like 89 degrees or something like that, 90 degrees. And so right now, talking about 66, 67 degrees. But, just enjoying it, man. Prayers out to people in Indonesia, man. I saw the footage. I believe it was Indonesia, where they had a 7-point-something earthquake. 200 people lost their lives. Footage of a high-rise with water coming down on people from a skyscraper. If you have like a skyscraper with a massive pool on the top, an earthquake comes, you really see what that looked like. And the water came down at such a hell of a velocity on the people's heads. There's no way they survived that. No way they survived that. From that high up, that much water, it was awful, man. It was awful. And so prayers out to everybody who lost their lives in that situation. I believe it was in Indonesia. Please forgive me if I got it wrong, though. So yeah, man, that's what's on my heart. Today is that little girl from Toledo, Ohio, who lost her life earlier in the week in a horrific fashion to who they said was her father. Today is her birthday, man. So thinking about her family today. And, I wish her name was in my head. I don't know what it is, unfortunately, but I'm definitely thinking about her, and I have her face in my mind as I'm saying this. So her 14th birthday, I believe it would have been. Very difficult to just absorb that story too. So yeah, man, there's just been a lot of stuff out there in the world that we're paying attention to that ain't no good, man. And we just pray for everybody who's going through difficulties and wish for them greater times ahead, man. I've been very pleased, just to segue, been very pleased with the room I'm in. It's been good, in comparison to the last two where I was dealing with a lot of, noise in the outside of the area of my room with some of the people who were struggling outside in the nighttime, talking and stuff like that. You don't have to hear any of that this particular contract. So very pleased with that, man. It's been very peaceful. I've been able to sleep even better, much better. The bed's comfy, the shower's cool, everything's good. So I'm just very thankful. It's very spacious in there, so it's a lot more room for me to do my exercise and stuff like that. The only thing I can say is not perfect is just the lighting for my art. But just the same, I've made good pieces in that room already, so it's not like it's lacking in motivation right now. So there's a lot of good there for me. I can't complain, man. Very thankful once again for my uncle helping me in that situation, continuing to make sure that I'm straight while I experience what I'm experiencing right now. And asking for the Lord's guidance and everything. As I told you guys earlier today in the therapy session, the beginning of it, I asked God what He wants me to do. He's basically telling me I'm doing it. I prayed about a job last night. It was last night or the night before. I think it was last night. In the midst of many things that I talked to God about, I was asking Him, when do you want me to start being responsible again? How do I snap into that? And what the energy that came my way is, I thank you so much for trusting me throughout this era, because what I've been doing with this channel and what I've been doing, in regards to my voice on this channel specifically, is exactly what the Lord wanted me to be able to do. Talking about the genocide, probably specifically, and the way that I've used my voice and the way that I've spoken out and try to use my platform. I don't think I have an opportunity to do any of those things in the way that it was done, if not for me being unemployed and being, more or less in this situation in the exact way that I am, day in and day out in the days that we did this. Essentially what the Lord was saying is that's exactly what I needed you to do. With the voice that you have and the way that you enunciate, with the passion that you have and the way that you've been able to kind of align the timing of this genocide with what it is that you've been going through, is the exact perfect storm that I needed to use in order to get the message through that he wanted me to have. And that there will be purpose for a lot of the things that we've talked about and the footage that has been taken here. A lot of that's going to be impactful in whatever the Lord wants to do. Even though it's not reaching a lot of people today, essentially what he's telling me is he has great purpose for a lot of what has already been done here. And to continue to do it. And that's really the only thing God actually is telling me and confirming that he wants me to do, as it pertains to certain things that require me to kind of snap back into form. He ain't telling me to hurry up and get a job or that now. That's not what he's telling me. That's not what the energy is at all. The energy is, please keep using your voice in the way that you are. This is what I need you to do. And you're doing it the right way, and that's why I'm happy with you, amongst other things. I don't think, like I said in the earlier video, I've never felt that God was more pleased with me than he is with me in this era of my life. And I can tell you, we've talked a lot of times when I thought he wasn't all that happy with me. We talked about it at length. Like, yo, he ain't happy with me, or just came out of an era where I think the Lord was punishing me. And we talked about all that, and I'm telling you, as it pertains to everything I've done in North Hollywood, he seemed to be more pleased with me than I am when I go to prayer about it. I seem to think that I'm not necessarily doing enough, or that I'm not handling things correctly. He's telling me I'm doing exactly what he wants me to do. To basically the letter, so it's like, I'm just trying to move in a way that ultimately makes him happy, man. I can't make even myself very happy with some of the things that ultimately I feel like he wants me to do. But if he's happy, then that's what matters. And that's essentially what came to me last night. He's like, don't worry about what everybody else talking about. Don't worry about what the world is telling you have to do. Because you don't necessarily know the state of the world itself. Nor does the world know the state of its fate. All you do know is that the one who does know is pleased with you. So keep it that way. That's essentially what came my way. Keep it that way. Don't worry about what you should be doing based on what exactly. Your understanding? How limited? Is mine? No. Like, that's what's been coming my way. It's like, all right, well, I mean, obviously I need to do this, and this, so I'll have that, and that. No, it don't necessarily come with that. That's the way it lines up on the schedule, as we've much talked about, but that may not necessarily be what the reality is for you trying to attempt to make those things happen. You following the spirit of the Lord's voice in your heart 100% of the time is exactly what the Lord wants you to do. That's essentially what the Lord is telling me even now. That's what I'm feeling he's telling me now. I don't want you to do anything else but what it is that I'm pleased with. And if for a moment in time I'm telling you I'm pleased with you just doing what you're doing, then until I tell you to do something else, that's still the verdict. Keep on making me happy with what it is that you're doing and your purpose. Keep on believing in me and looking to me through meditation to communicate with you my pleasures with you and my intentions for you. And you're doing it. And that's what the Lord was telling me last night as I was meditating. Like, you're doing it. You are doing exactly what I want you to do. And are your needs not all met? Yes. And are you willing to change when I tell you to change whatever I need you to do? Yes. All right then. And let's just keep going. Invest in this relationship with me. Be willing as I instruct you. And you ain't got nothing to worry about. That's exactly, and it's like, but Lord, I want this, and this. I want that, and that. But yeah, but you don't know what comes with what you're asking for. You just think you do. But Lord, how am I going to get this? How am I going to ever be able to be a family man if I can't do? Like, those are things I control. You coming to me worried about things I control. I'm telling you I'm happy with you. I can make those things happen for you. You doing things that you think you need to do within the world's understanding ain't going to lead you to those things. Following the one who controls all those things is how you're going to get those things, if it's meant for you to have them. And that guidance in that relationship is what you're privy to that'll allow you a cheat code on a lot of other people who are trying their very best to do what they need to do based on what the world is telling them they need to do. That's how they have to move, because they don't have me. But if you have me, you don't have to do that. Essentially what I'm feeling, this is coming my way. And because you have me, you don't have to move as the world moves. You move as I'm telling you to move. We're taking shortcuts. We're taking back streets. We got a different map. You know what I mean? And what everybody else is following. This is the path from which you'll get that, and that. If it's meant for you to have it. And I asked the Lord about something I was concerned with. He was like, it ain't meant for you to know that. Do you trust me? Yep, I got your back. Live without knowing. Like that's the hard part for me, as we've talked about before, recently. I had another one of those moments last night, but I was a little more reasonable in regards to receiving it. Like, yeah, I ain't supposed to know that yet. Or a lot of this stuff is still unfolding. Certain things, like, you know, this could work out, but if that works out and that works out, all you can do is your part. Other people got to do their part. If they do their part, then it's going to come to this. If it doesn't come to this, so long as you continue listening to this voice, we have another path we could take. But right now, it's not yet determined. And that's kind of how things are. They unfold. It's according to the Lord's will. Now, how that equates to him having everlasting knowledge, I think we look at future and the knowledge of future as a means of point A to point B. And I don't think that's how the Lord reads all space and time, is I guess what I'm gathering. He more so has a vast understanding of all possibilities. That's what he can tell in regards to the future. And he knows what choices people are likely going to make, which equates to the future. But as it pertains to the unfolding of things, which path is going to be going, human beings determine through free will what path is going to be taken. But the Lord knows what happens down each path, is essentially what I'm gathering. That's the best way I could perceive his understanding. It probably doesn't do it any justice at all. But it's not as simple as I can tell you what you're going to do, and because you didn't do it, now I've suddenly been mistaken. No, he knew what was going to happen if you went down that path. He knew what was going to happen if you took that path. All variables have understanding. You choose which way you're going to go, and he can tell you exactly what's going to happen when you do it. And then furthermore, he can tell you exactly what path you're likely going to take. So I see it. I don't know. Far be it for me to be able to behold the understandings of the Lord. But essentially, my understanding before that was like, yo, how is it that I have you telling me that you're not going to tell me what it is that's coming, but to follow you because it's going to work out, but then tell me that other people have to do their part in order for it to work out, and they may not? How does that work in regards to you having full knowledge and understanding? Wouldn't that be something that you needed unfolded to you? And it's how I equate to how that, I guess, is expressed to me. I don't know. I don't even know if I worded that right, but whatever, man. The point is, he understands, even through the presence of us not understanding. As long as we follow him, we're on the right path, even if it doesn't work out the way that we all hope it does. We can still find ourselves doing exactly what it is that he wants us to do, and finding ourselves in a path of position to receive what it is that we're supposed to receive. So be open to following that voice is what I ultimately think should be said here. Be open to following that voice. That's what a lot of our conversation has been about. Trusting that voice, having a relationship with God, and then hearing that voice, trusting that that voice in your head is coming from the Spirit of God. The more you come to understand and obey him, worship him, the more you'll understand what it is he's trying to interpret toward you. And that too is an unfolding in a way, because it gets stronger and stronger the closer you get to him, which is why meditation is so valued in so many different faiths. That's why prayer is so valued in so many different faiths, because it's the art of going into oneself and then allowing the Most High to direct where your mind goes, and blotting out all the distractions and the noise, and ultimately finding some clarity from within that practice that can only grow stronger with it practice. So that's a big important part of it. And in the world that we're in with so many distractions and so many suggestions, that meditation is really, really essential for all beings, I think. And I think a lot of people would do much better if they were able to work that into their equation if possible. And I'd imagine for most of us, to some degree, it is possible. But I say that with a question mark, because I know a lot of people have a lot of things that take up their time and demand them no peace. But that's why when we have an opportunity of such things, we utilize them when they're in our lives and opportunities come your way where you got peace. That's why you do it. Because when you have it, it can be utilized, and when it's not gone, it may be gone for a time. As to which what you've already put in that regard may carry you through the time where you don't have it, an opportunity to engage in that practice. So that's important. I think as we start to understand the fullness of what our lives are about, a guy like myself who has nothing but time to meditate, nothing but time to use his voice, nothing but time to figure himself out, 3 years from now, I may not have any time for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And some of you may be in that same space where you don't have any time right now, but you had it 10 years ago. Maybe you utilized it, maybe you didn't. Maybe you have it 10 years from now. Well, you know what I mean? Like, this thing is not, it don't have to go the way it looks like it's going to go. It don't have to be what it is what the world is telling you is on the schedule. It may not actually play out that way. And so that's what it is that I think is encouraging when trying to tell people who don't have time to meditate what they can expect. And maybe as future unfolds, that time is ahead of you. So that is what I'll say, man. Try to clear up your life so that it can be possible if possible. Try to clear that up, because that connection is really important. It's really important. It guides us. It gives us clarity. It can govern our souls and our minds and our reactions. A lot of us end up falling to fates because of how we react to things, or how our imaginations take us into things in the form of poor reactions. What we think we can handle or absorb, how our imagination works as it pertains to certain thresholds that we may feel we have. You don't need to go down that path. That path don't lead to nothing good. You know what I mean? That might be just the example, but because you can't see how bad it works or how bad you're going to go through it or whatever, you just take that path anyway. No, that ain't worth it. Your imagination fails you. You needed more meditation. You needed to think more about what it is you were involved in, so that your imagination would take you down actual paths instead of whatever it is you gave yourself in the moment as it pertains to what it is that you're engaging in. A little bit of time within your meditative peace, and you would have understood that, this was going to cause this kind of problem. This was going to cause that kind of problem. This didn't really make all that damn sense. I was looking at this wrong. That stuff is important, not just for people who have great responsibilities, but just for everyday people. But the emphasis is to understand that this is very important for people who have great responsibilities. I wonder if some of our leaders are spending any time in these spaces. I wonder if they give themselves any time to meditate. I wonder if some of these people who call themselves Zionists have ever meditated on the notion of whether or not some of the things that they're doing in regards to supporting the things that they support make any sense at all. I wonder. A lot of people meditate on the things they understand. They ain't letting nothing new in. They chanting stuff that ain't from the God in their meditative spaces. What you're doing when you meditate, how your spirit is set up when you meditate, probably has a lot to do with what it is that comes to you. A lot of people sit in their meditative spaces for an hour, get out and make a huge mistake. I think about a guy like King Von. They said King Von was sitting in the car in silence before he jumped out and started to punch on Quando Wando. That's where your meditative space took you? Into a self-destructive space? Like, one has to wonder, what is in your heart when you go into those meditative spaces? Because if your head ain't where it needs to be going into those spaces, and you chanting the wrong things in your meditation, it's likely going to place you in this position to do the things you had no business doing, as if you never meditated at all. It's just like I say, when we face certain things that are traumatic, where was your head at? Because if you were in a space you had no business going into, a lot of times those events can be significantly worse on your head because of who you were going into those moments. And so this is no different, especially for people who are dealing with a lot or responsible for a lot. They need to not only have time to think, they need to be in a good space when they approach it. They got to have certain things already submitted and understood, which is why I think a belief in a living God is so important, because it allows you by default to fall into that positivity, that submits to something greater than yourself when going into your meditative space. That's important for the human ego, man. It's important that accountability be in your place so that it can coerce you away from mistakes. Your ego try to protect you from different things that feel like shame or feel like belittling, but end up, by way of its own flawed nature, coerce you into spaces that make you just as shamed, just as vulnerable, just as appearing weak. It don't help you on the back end in a lot of cases. So if you're going into your meditative space as an egomaniac, and what you're going to meditate on is you being the greatest and the best and the most important, and then from there everything trickles down, it doesn't hold you accountable, it leads you astray. It's why a lot of people in many different faiths and mindsets consider the concept of ego death, which furthermore is just a submittance to the idea that you're flawed, or that you're not the greatest and most important and most all-knowledgeable, understanding thing in the world, that your perception could be flawed, even though it may not have failed you very much or whatever. And submitting to something greater than yourself, checking you so that you don't believe in yourself so much as to brashly go forward in arrogance toward dysfunction and destruction and all these different types of things. And that is ultimately the importance, in my opinion, for a belief in the submittance to a living God, to something that could be greater than yourself, that knows more than you, that can belittle you at any moment regardless of how right you think you are, that can put you in a space from which you are in despair for the rest of eternity, or in a place of paradise for the rest of eternity. Something you're completely adherent to in all of your strength and ego, power and wealth, or whatever it is you have. Submitting to something like that is extremely healthy. Extremely healthy. And going down that rabbit hole, I think, is very healthy for you. So long as you're not following bad energy down a religious path, because that's where many people go wrong. They follow bad energy. You're following uniform. That's not a relationship with God. That's not where the crux of the good that you need is going to come from. You may be able to find it down that path. I'm not saying you definitely won't find it there, but if you're not interested in having a relationship and you're just going to follow the uniform word for word, script for script, you're doing human being stuff. That's not necessarily you having a relationship with God. And if it makes it so that you're treating people worse, shunning people for their differences, which a lot of these religions and uniforms do, you ain't gonna get closer to God. You're gonna piss him off. That's what you're gonna do. It just is what it is, and I wonder how this works for a lot of people, because you hear people really shunning people for their differences in religious spaces because God considers shunning them for those differences. I think that that's a huge spiritual mistake. I think it's a huge spiritual mistake. I don't think that you have to do that to protect yourself of the evil that they welcome with their practices. Because that's where you allow God to take care of that for which has your back in that regard. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it's a case-by-case type of thing. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But a lot of times you hear religious people say, I'm keeping these people out because of the practices that they do. But the presence of a church is supposed to be that for which helps people turn their heart away from what it is that they shouldn't do. So if they're not welcome in the church, how can their heart change? The hypocrisy of the uniform versus the relationship is there found because now you're pushing people away for what it is that they can't control, for which they come to you for help. And the very essence of that is against God. But we practice that so much because in the book, it says those people who do those things are no good. And so we need to keep them out. But that's not necessarily what is best in regards to keeping you in healthy spaces from which to be your functionality as a church. Because you also need to be able to welcome people in who need to be there. It's a functionality of the devil that is worked through human understanding. The devil can always use a human being, but he can't use a human being who's controlled by the Lord. And if you're truly controlled by the Lord, through which you have a relationship that is direct, he will allow you to understand that he has your back, and it is not important that you shun others for things that by way of his vast understanding, he would be willing to condemn them for. Because he understands the fullness of their hearts, where they're headed, and ultimately more than that for which you understand in regards to those practices that you otherwise don't think they should be engaging in. He understands them more than that. You don't. So it don't hit the same when you condemn them because he condemns them. Now you're trying to be him. And see, that's tricky because they ain't teaching you that in the church, because a lot of these churches don't want everybody in the church, which is completely fine. But just the same, it betrays the understanding that people who need to come there who are not in the light are ultimately going to find themselves continuous to be in the dark, searching for a way to get to the light because you didn't let them in the door where the light was. So is the light really behind your door? Or were they not saved from ultimately going into another space and it wasn't really all that light at all? You got to ask yourself the inverted aspect of that. If you didn't let them in your church, but they're looking for a relationship with the living God, he coerced them away from your church. Are they not better for it? These are the things you're never going to ask. They ain't never going to ask those questions. But that's the God's honest truth. If I go here and you tell me I'm not welcome here for any set of reasons, and I'm looking for a relationship with the living God, all it takes is the faith of a mustard seed for me to now have his favor in my life. So if you close the door on me, is that not right for me that you did? Now, one size doesn't fit all. Maybe a good church for me is a bad church for you. And so there's room for this not to be just completely horrible for this being the case, but just the same. A lot of people don't have these thoughts in their head when they're condemning others from the practices that ultimately they believe the Lord doesn't approve of. The Lord doesn't approve. You ain't the Lord. You see what I'm saying? The Lord don't like that they do these things. It ain't incumbent upon you to stone them for it. That's his intentions. That's his right to feel how he feels about their practices. You're a human being who does a bunch of stuff that he don't like too. And that's what they say, those who haven't sinned cast the first stone. This is exactly the wisdom behind that. But a lot of us in our search for purity and holiness start casting stones as soon as we find an opportunity to. The first thing we do is condemn people who don't have the discipline that we found. The first thing we do is start condemning people for practices that we can't get with. They can't come in here. We don't mess with them people. They're the worst people in the world. They don't deserve nothing because They do what God don't like. You ain't God. And he don't like things that you do either. This is why independent thought, coupled with a relationship with God, can bring you to the fullness of understanding of how to vet through stuff that looks like it's light when it ain't really light. Reading energy is just yet another leg of what that is about. And we talk about that conversation a million different ways and how to read energy properly. You're welcoming people into your life because you feel strongly. The Lord taught me very, very distinctively last year. You can have very strong love in your heart. It don't mean that that person has that love to return to you. You can feel strongly. You can feel it in your meditative space when you pray about this person. You feel so much love. That's the love in you for someone. That's not the love that they have for you. They may not feel none at all. But because you feel so strongly within you, you feel like the love is real. The love within you is real. And it's going to be really wasted too if you give it to the wrong person. Read energy properly, so that you don't find yourself welcoming the wrong types of people in your life for the wrong reasons. And best believe you're in a world that's going to teach you how to do that. The functionality of this evil world is to teach you how to go down the wrong path. It's to teach you how to welcome the wrong spouse. It's to teach you how to want the wrong things that don't have any substance attached to it, so that you can start a foundation with it that ultimately crumbles to shit. Excuse my language. That is what the world is going to teach you to do. Your music is teaching you how to value people based on things that hold no substance. Do she have this? Do he have that? Are they established in this? Which makes me feel protected because my faith won't allow me to feel like I can live without those things. Well, do they look good in the aesthetics in the picture next to me? Stupid stuff like this, and you think you found your love life. You don't even know what love is because you're following things that don't have love attached to it. And wonder why your marriage falls apart or why it can't get off the ground. It's because you're picking people for the wrong reasons. You're reading energy wrong. And you're chasing things that don't help you. You're chasing things that you can't find any foundation in. When you have hard times with that person, you ain't going to get nowhere with them. Because you were chasing them for reasons that have nothing to do with those things. So when you find those people that ultimately have those things you are chasing, guess what they don't have? Loyalty to you. Unconditional love, a willingness to do right by you when you're gone with your things and, take care of your kid. The understanding of how to deal with you as you go through changes, a desire to stick with you when the money gone, because you're chasing them for the wrong reason. You're chasing them for reasons that don't have any of that attached to it. First thing y'all do when you get a lot is start looking for somebody who want a lot. Don't want love. They want what you have. She fine though. What the hell they got to do with her character? That woman is crazy. That woman was raised by wolves. She ain't gonna do nothing but spit your babies out and put them in the ground like she ain't no good. But she got cake though. People be marrying with this crap in their minds. You ain't gonna find nothing there, fam. There's no substance there. There's no foundation in the living God there. Y'all don't pray together. Y'all don't work together. It's conditional on whether or not you have funds. It's conditional on whether or not you look like a certain woman that looks good in a picture. He only wants you because you look like her. He didn't even vet to see if you cared about him at all. He assumed you don't. And you wonder why your relationship don't work. It's just, look, man, the world is always going to teach you how to find people that are bad for you, man. It's always going to teach you how to vet the wrong way. Shunning all the things that are attached to a living God, welcoming all the things that are attached to the enemy in the world. And people think it's cute. They listen to stuff like this and they laugh it off, but then they end up with the consequences that leave them rotten. Don't believe in love no more. Why? Because you was chasing all the wrong things. And then when you got to it, you call it love. And that's equivalent to what we did with this country. You're looking for India, found this place, called it India, called the people here Indians. No, fool, you got lost. You ain't landed in India. India somewhere else. And that's exactly what people do in regards to their spouses a lot of times. A good portion of times. Listen to stuff that's invested in, that promotes culture toward them. Stupid stuff. And I wonder why things don't work out for them. It's because you're not chasing anything that has any substance attached to it. You're not chasing love. You're chasing the devil and the things that he's attached to. And then when you find the consequences that come with that, you're miserable. Now you don't believe in love. You never even came across it. How the hell you don't believe in it? You never even searched for it. You didn't put out one filler for actual love. You put out fillers for everything that looks good, feels good. You didn't put out nothing that ultimately gives you love. I don't know if I have an accurate analogy for that, but I got something in my head. That's like throwing apples in a bucket and then call yourself going fishing. No, you're bobbing for apples. You're not going fishing. Ain't no fish in that damn water. You pull out an apple and you call it salmon. No, fool, that's an apple. I don't believe in salmon. You didn't even go fishing. A lot of y'all do everything you can to shun salmon when it come your way. And swear to God, you're going fishing, man. I want this person to be this height. I want this person to have this amount of money. I want this person to have this much going on. I want this person to be able to leave me alone at times. I want this person to be able to read my mind. It's like, when in the hell are you going to find something that God actually gave you? When are you going to attract something that's actually meant for you? You got all types of criteria that are based on your understanding, as you don't realize you're going to change next year, the year after that. You ain't going to even want the same things. The stuff that you're welcoming is only fit for the customization of the times you're in. Short-sighted. When you think you're going to find something long-term, you ain't even beholding what you should want properly. Which is why I often put into this camera the notion, the very rare notion, that we should be praying for better wants. To be of better wants. Yes, I want this. No, it's not the best want to want. Lord, can you help me want better stuff? I want this girl to look this, and this. Yes, but every time I found a girl that had this, and this, it always went to ish. So what do I do now? Well, Lord, can you make it so that I'm of better wants? So that the things that I actually want align with what it is that you want for me, rather than me wanting things that are not right for me and then fighting through it. Help me be of better wants. Like, and they ain't gonna teach you this, because most of the people don't understand this. They can't fathom that. They just want what they want, or they feel they have to go against what they want so they can please the living God. But you don't never actually use your relationship with that living God to actually mold you to having more desirable wants that reflect better upon you and your character and your future, not for what is scheduled to take place, but what it is that's actually going to happen based on things that are not yet unfolded in your life. Not to be so morbid, but imagine if you're in a situation where tomorrow you ain't gonna have a leg. If you knew you weren't gonna have a leg tomorrow, the type of person that you want to welcome into your life is gonna be somebody who can live with that, who's gonna be able to accept that, who's gonna be able to help you. You welcoming people that is contingent upon you being able to run in order to keep them happy. That's not what you need, but it's what you want, and you don't see any way you're not gonna have a leg. So why the hell would you need a woman that needs you to, that would be willing to accept the fact that you don't have a leg? You prefer an athletic woman who needs you to be able to run with her every day in order to be happy. That ain't what you want. That ain't what you need, not based on what's coming. And your relationship with a living God will help you understand. He know you ain't gonna have a leg next week. He know that. So he gonna bring you a woman that's gonna be ready for that. But you don't want her because she don't have this, because she don't have that, she's not looking like that. You attract a different type of woman, so she ain't gonna want that type of woman. Like, ain't none of that gonna matter to you once you go through the experience and the trauma of what's about to happen to you. All you're gonna want is exactly what the Lord gave you. And with all that in mind, this is why I don't trust my own wants anymore. Because I don't know what comes with what, and I don't know who I'm gonna be when I get it. Lord, help me be a better want. That allows me the acceptance and the fluidity of the realities of my life. Things don't have to be on the schedule in order for me to be pleased. I can accept anything so long as I keep that relationship with Christ, because he will allow me to understand what is coming as opposed to what I think is coming, or what the schedule says, for which we will not be following in a lot of cases. You know, a lot of people don't want to hear you preach because they equate preaching to religion, but this ain't about no dang religion. Whatever religion you in, this is good. This is for you. Man, literally, like, it don't matter. I don't have to open up no book. I don't have to refer to no one's quotes. And a lot of times we're so uniformed in our indoctrined way of education that people can't have conversations unless they're quoting somebody else. They can't go for knowledge, and yes, it's aligned with something that you can say you read in a book. I'm writing the damn book. Quote me. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. I don't need to refer to too much. I may refer to something that's been said, or, you know, I'm not going to say that I never do. But the point is, this is not how you learn. This is how we were taught is appropriate in learning. That's not the only way to learn. That's not the only way to teach. You know, we're so indoctrinated in how we're supposed to do it, so brainwashed by how things are supposed to go. We're following structure and schedule and uniform, when the world is fluid. Completely fluid. And so what ends up happening is a lot of people, when their ego gets psyched out by the fact that they have learned how to learn and think they know how they should be taught based on how things are done and agreed upon in this earth we're in, that they don't want to listen to somebody who hasn't gone through the same structure for this understanding that they're not educated. He ain't educated. He ain't brainwashed. He hasn't gone to school for 12 years. He didn't read books written by somebody else who was talking like me. Many books written by many people who was talking like me. And we end up turning our ears off to legitimate spiritual or wisdom of any kind, understanding or knowledge of any kind, coming from individuals that don't have the brainwashing and the uniform structure of agreed upon learning. Can't listen to him because he ain't go to school. And that's how the devil is able to keep certain things from a lot of people, especially those who would otherwise be intelligent enough to receive them. He knows you uniform to listen to things this way. So he's going to make damn sure people who follow their uniform are telling you the opposite things. He's going to instill all of his nonsense in those people. A lot of the time. Walk around seeing so many educated fools. They don't have the first understanding of how to welcome such concepts we talked about. Nah, fam. You got to be more fluid in how you receive information, because the Lord can use anybody. You got to value wisdom and seek it and understand that it can come from anybody. You can hear the most profound thing out of a babbling fool. I've learned this in my life. Seen it. Dude talking to himself said something so profound and stuck with me. I don't even remember what it was at this point, but that ain't the point. He's on the bus just talking out loud, and he's just talking. He wasn't even talking to anyone. But he was talking, and he said something that was resonated at the time. It's possible. Don't allow uniform thinking and structure of how to, which is ever evolving, have you closing your mind off to stuff that could really help you just because it's coming out of places that don't seem credible. It's something the devil loves to use. Is agreed upon credibility. He loves shutting people's mind off. If it ain't in the book, it ain't real. If it ain't come out here, it ain't. And so you don't even apply it. You don't even take the tidbit from it and apply it to your meditation. If it ain't come from that, I ain't listening to it. If he don't have a certain amount, obviously he can't help me with this. If that person ain't had a certain amount of success, then obviously there ain't nobody to listen to. Depending on what we're talking about. Because some people can give you very bad advice with very convincing voices. That in and of itself is very fluid. There are a lot of people out here who's stupid and don't know it. And they will run off at the mouth about all different types of stuff, specifics that they don't know nothing about, sending people down the wrong path. That holds a lot of weight. But as you find yourself in a space where you're seeking knowledge, don't allow your discernment to have you not properly, once again, reading energy. Because just because it's wise not to listen to that fool and that fool and that fool, this particular person you deem as a fool is somebody you probably should take that particular thing from as they're saying it to you. It's fluid. A lot of times our beholdings end up failing us the most. If they don't have this, then they can't give us that. If they're not looking like this, then they're not going to be able to provide that. You know, those type of things are beholdings to perceive what the world is and therefore make decisions that generalize or otherwise put you in a space to think you know what the heck you're looking at when you look at a certain thing. Don't trust that too much. The world's going to teach you to definitely trust that every time, and sometimes it's going to be wrong. Just like you don't trust your wants all the dang time. Sometimes you want the wrong thing. Sometimes you perceive things the wrong way. I know some of y'all ain't gonna want to hear that. No, I don't. Your inability to receive that will likely coerce you into your greatest mistakes. Sometimes you don't perceive things the right way, fam. Just let it be. Get your ego out the way so you can accept the truth so it can lead you down the right path. The sooner you realize that you're not an all-understanding, all-encompassing, all-great human that can't be wrong and all of this other egotistical, weakness-attached nonsense, you're going to be able to receive something that could really, really allow you more understanding, which will provide you even more confidence in that same bag. Now that y'all can't listen long enough to even pay attention. There's something that could really help you. People keep telling me, oh man, make your videos 15 minutes long. For what? To continue to reinforce that having a short-term attention span is something that we should have? No, it shouldn't. When the lights come off, we're going to be having such advanced versions of ADD, we ain't going to even be able to sit down for a second. Make my videos an hour long. I don't care about none of that. We're going to retrain the mind to be a lot more intelligent, not the other way around. We ain't trying to stoop it down. That's what I'm saying, leadership, man. Be a better once. We're not interested at all in being uniformed in a world that ultimately is running straight for a wall. I'm not interested. I'm meditating on what the Lord wants me to be. He tells me to speak from my heart, and so I do that. We're going to get better at these things, not worse. We're going to read energy better, not worse. We're going to be of better wants, not worse. And we're going to be able to fathom where we're going wrong, where other people aren't teaching us how to think of such things or believe that it's possible or whatever. We're going to get this ego out the way because it aligns with evil. That's why it rhymes that way. You can get it out the way so that as a humble servant of God, you can receive all of the different realities of what's coming your way, not just what looks like could be because maybe what you believe because you perceive. None of that. None of that accurate. Or listen to those people as they move in uniform without a relationship with God tell you how to shun other people because God forbid they find a relationship with God through you, or maybe show you how to actually find one since you don't have one, but you don't know that. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. People making the same mistakes over and over and over again, hurting people, hurting themselves, reflecting poorly upon themselves and being none the wiser in relationships, going down the waste. Reputation's just the same. You know what I'm saying? We got to open up our minds and our hearts and our brains, so to speak, and allow for something in that maybe we were taught how not to, if it actually reads well energy-wise. Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching.